You know that moment, that one where you're just sitting with your partner, maybe you're driving or, just on the couch after a long day, and the silence gets a little loud.
Mm.
So you look over, you ask the golden question, hey, what are you thinking? And they look back at you just completely blank and say,
Nothing.
nothing.
The single most frustrating word in the English language for anyone who's trying to connect.
It is. It really is. And if you're anything like me, your immediate thought is liar. I mean, how can a human brain be doing nothing? I'm over here planning dinner, worrying about that email, wondering if the dog needs shots, and analyzing why you sighed 3 minutes ago. There's no way you were thinking about nothing.
It feels like a lie. It feels like a total deception. But, and this is where we have to challenge our intuition a little, that nothing answer might actually be the honest-to-goodness truth.
Come on. You're telling me the brain, this like super complex organ that's always running, just shuts off?
In a manner of speaking, yeah. Mark Gungor, in his work, introduces this concept called the nothing box.
The nothing box.
Exactly. He explains that men's brains are often highly compartmentalized. You've got a box for the car, a box for work, a box for the kids.
And the boxes don't touch.
The boxes do not touch, but their favorite box, the one they go to whenever they can.
The nothing box.
It's a specific psychological and neurological state. Now, we have to be a little careful here. Gungor is a comedian as well as a speaker, but he bases this on some actual research.
Okay.
The claim that gets cited a lot is that men can shut down a huge amount of brain activity, up to 70% when they're in a resting state.
70%. That sounds like a coma, not just, relaxing. Is that actually accurate?
It's probably a bit of a hyperbole for effect. The underlying neuroscience, though, about resting states is very real. What it really shows isn't that the brain goes dead, but that the male brain can more completely disengage the connective tissue between the hemispheres during rest.
So they're idling in neutral.
That's a great way to put it. It's not a power outage. It's just sitting in the driveway with the engine on but not going anywhere. He's there physically, but mentally he is off fishing in his mind.
Meanwhile, my brain is definitely not idling. I feel like I'm revving at 7,000 RPMs while I'm parked.
And that is the perfect contrast, because studies on the female brain show that in that same resting state, it maintains significantly higher electrical activity, especially in the centers that process emotion and communication.
Okay, so there it is. That's the setup for disaster. Humming along at high speed, analyzing everything. I ask him what he's thinking. He says nothing, which is true for him.
Right.
But because that is, biologically impossible for me, I assume something else must be going on.
You project your reality right onto him. You think he's hiding something, or he's mad or bored with you, because in your world, nothing it doesn't exist.
And that's where the trouble starts. Because I don't just accept it. I start guessing.
And that guessing, it has a name. In relationship psychology, especially in the work of John Gottman, who's really the godfather of this research, it's called mind reading.
Which sounds like a really cool superpower, but in a relationship, it's usually a villain origin story.
It really is. Gottman defines it as attributing thoughts, feelings, or motives to your partner without actually checking with them. Now, we all do this. You see him smile at a text, you assume it's a funny meme. That's positive mind reading, no big deal.
Sure, but we're not worried about the positive stuff.
Yeah.
It's when he's quiet, and I decide it's because he hates my cooking.
Precisely. That is negative mind reading. You're slapping a negative motive onto a totally neutral behavior. And that leads us to this fantastic term from Les and Leslie Parrott. They call it assumicide.
Assumicide. That's dramatic. It sounds like a felony.
It basically is for a relationship. Assumicide is when we incorrectly believe we know what our partner is thinking, and then, this is the critical part, we respond to that assumption instead of reality.
So I assume you're mad. I get defensive because I think you're mad. My defensiveness then actually makes you mad, and boom, we're fighting.
You just described the whole cycle. You're interacting with a ghost, a fantasy projection you created. You're killing the connection because you're not connecting with them, you're connecting with your own anxiety.
Okay, but let's pause right there. Because assumicide makes it sound like I'm doing it on purpose or I'm just being difficult. It feels so involuntary. I don't want to assume the worst, but my brain just, it fills in the blanks.
Yeah.
Why can't I just let him be quiet?
That is the million-dollar question. And to get there, we have to look at why your brain is so busy compared to his nothing box. Shaunti Feldhahn, in her book For Men Only, uses this brilliant analogy she calls the female matrix.
The matrix. Okay, are we talking Keanu Reeves here or?
Think more like a complex system, like a computer desktop. Feldhahn explains that for many women, and again, these are generalizations, not absolutes, the brain operates with like a dozen different windows open at the same time. Oh, I feel so seen right now. Yes, there's a window for the kids' homework, a window for work, a window for the grocery list, a window for that weird look my mother-in-law gave me last week.
And here's the key difference she points out.
Yeah.
You can't just close a window. You can minimize it. You can put it in the background.
Yeah.
But it's still running, still using up RAM.
No, the close button is definitely broken. I try to go to sleep and they just all pop back up.
Exactly. Whereas the typical male processing style tends to be more sequential. Open a file, work on it, close it, save, done. Then open the next file.
So because I have 10 windows open that I literally can't close, I just project that onto him. I assume he must have all these windows open too, so his silence has to mean something really heavy is going on in one of them.
You're projecting your operating system onto his hardware.
Yeah.
But there's a deeper layer too. It's not just about the windows. It's about the fact that we are, as human beings, meaning makers.
Meaning makers.
Yeah. We hate information gaps. It's an evolutionary thing. If the bushes are rustling and you don't know why, you don't assume it's the wind. You assume it's a tiger.
You assume it's a tiger. Better to be wrong and alive than right and eaten. So when there's an information gap, like your partner being silent, your brain rushes to fill it with a story.
And I'm guessing the genre of that story is usually horror, not romantic comedy.
Almost always. If we have any insecurity, and who doesn't, we use what's called an insecurity fill. We tell ourselves a story that confirms our absolute worst fears. He's quiet because he doesn't find me interesting anymore. Not, he's quiet because he's tired.
It is amazing how creative I can get with those stories. I have written entire screenplays with dialogue and plot twists and tragic endings, all in a 5-minute car ride.
And the tragedy is that you start reacting to the screenplay. You start treating him like the villain in this movie you just wrote in your head.
He has no idea he's even been cast in the movie.
He doesn't even know there's a movie. And we have to realize something really humbling here. There's no such thing as an immaculate perception.
An immaculate perception.
Yeah. There's no God camera recording the objective truth of what's happening. Gottman talks about this all the time. In a conflict, there aren't really any facts. There are just two different perceptions, two people telling themselves two different stories about the exact same event.
Wait, hang on. If there's no objective truth, no God camera, aren't we just doomed to argue about who's right forever?
Not if we understand our filters. We all see the world through filters. One of the biggest is the emotional state filter.
Is that like the hangry filter? Because that is very real in my house.
It is scientifically real. The research shows that when we're in a good mood, we give our partner the benefit of the doubt. But when we're stressed or tired or hungry, we perceive even neutral comments as personal attacks.
So what's for dinner becomes, why haven't you cooked yet? Just because my blood sugar is low.
Precisely. And then there's the expectation filter. If you expect your partner to be angry, you will literally pull that behavior out of them. You'll hear their tone is angry, you'll respond defensively, and then suddenly they are angry.
You create a self-fulfilling prophecy.
You do.
Okay, this is all getting a little depressing. My windows won't close. I'm terrified of the nothing box, and I'm committing Assumicide because I'm hangry. This feels like a huge mess. We need to fix this. What are the tools? How do we stop the guessing game?
The good news is the solutions are super practical, but I have to warn you, they feel awkward at first. The first one is called the checkout.
The checkout. Okay, how's that work?
It's a specific script. You find versions of it in Gottman's work and others. It forces you to say your assumption out loud before you act on it. The script is, the story I'm telling myself is, and then you just fill in the blank.
Okay, I have to be honest. If I turn to my husband and say, the story I'm telling myself is that you hate me, he's going to look at me like I've been reading way too many self-help books. It sounds so therapy-ish.
It does. It sounds like therapy speak. And you will feel silly saying it at first. But what's the alternative? The alternative is you sulking for 3 hours and starting a fight over nothing.
Fair point.
The magic of that phrase, the story I'm telling myself, is that it's about ownership. You aren't accusing him. You're not saying you are ignoring me. You're saying my brain is creating a story that you're ignoring me. It just immediately lowers their defenses.
Because you're admitting it might be fiction.
Exactly. You're giving them an out, an invitation to correct the story. And the response is usually something like, what? No, I was literally thinking about whether penguins have knees.
It means, you know what, never mind. But you have to use it before you scream. Yeah.
No, yes.
Yeah.
You have to catch it in the draft phase. Once you started the fight, it's a lot harder to walk it back.
Okay, tool 1 on the story. What's next?
This one tackles that immaculate perception problem. It's a visual analogy from Gottman. I want you to imagine a potted plant in the middle of a room.
Potted plant. Got it.
If you sit on one side of the room and draw it, and I sit on the other side and draw it, our drawings are going to look completely different. I might see the flowers, you might only see the leaves. In a fight, we waste so much energy arguing about whose drawing is right. You said this, no I didn't, I said that. We're arguing over the facts. But remember, there are no objective facts.
So what's the move? Agree to disagree.
The move is to shift the goal. The goal isn't to prove your drawing is the right one. The goal is to get up, walk over to their side of the room and say, hey, can I see your drawing? What does this look like from over here?
That shifts it from you versus me to us versus the problem. But that takes so much humility. When I'm mad, I don't want to see your drawing. I want to burn your drawing.
Ha! That's the amygdala talking. But curiosity is the antidote to assumicide. You can't assume if you are genuinely curious.
Okay, but let's get real. Sometimes we are way past polite curiosity about potted plants. The fight is happening, voices are raised. What do you do then?
That's when you pull out the heavy-duty tool. It's called the speaker-listener technique, or sometimes just the floor.
I've heard of this. This is
Yeah.
where you actually hold an object, like a talking stick.
Yes. You grab a physical object, a pen, the remote, a piece of carpet, if you want to be literal about having the floor.
Okay, I got to push back again. If I hand my partner a piece of carpet in the middle of a fight, he's going to laugh at me. It feels so clinical. Doesn't that just kill the vibe?
It feels clinical, and that is exactly the point. You want to kill the vibe because the current vibe is toxic. You need something artificial to slow the whole runaway train down.
Okay, so how does it work?
The rule is simple, but it is excruciatingly hard to follow. The person holding the object is the only one who can speak. The listener cannot rebut. They can't defend themselves. They can't sigh. They can't roll their eyes.
That sounds like actual torture.
It's torture for the ego. The listener's only job is to paraphrase what they heard. They have to say, what I hear you saying is, and they can't give their side until the speaker says, yes, you got it.
So you have to just sit there and let them be wrong about you without correcting them.
You have to let them show you their drawing of the potted plant. And the object matters because it forces your brain to switch off its rebuttal mode and switch on its listening mode. You stop mind reading because you have to focus so hard on just capturing the words.
It's like a circuit breaker for the fight.
It is. And usually, once someone feels truly heard, the emotional temperature in the room drops about 20 degrees. Then you can hand over the object.
So we've got the checkout, the potted plant, and the floor. But let's go a little deeper, because sometimes these fights aren't really about the dishes, are they?
Oh, never. Gottman calls this the dream catcher concept. A lot of times, a trivial argument is just the crust on top of a much deeper pie.
I like pie, but I'm assuming this pie is made of deep-seated emotional needs.
It is. So Gottman suggests that instead of guessing why your partner is mad about the laundry, you ask questions like, is there a story behind this for you? Or, what's the ideal dream you have for this situation?
It feels like a huge leap, from pick up your socks to what is your deepest dream.
It is, but think about it. A fight over a messy house is almost never about the mess. It's about a need for sanctuary. It's about a dream of peace and order in a chaotic world. If you're mind reading, you just think, he's a nag. If you're heart reading, you realize, oh, he feels unsafe when things are chaotic.
That totally changes the empathy level. You're not fighting a behavior, you're honoring a need.
And this ties right back to our childhoods. Milan and Kay Yerkovich, in their book, How We Love, talk about using soul words.
Soul words, that sounds beautiful and also really hard.
It's very hard. It's about identifying the deep feeling underneath the surface complaint. See, a lot of us learned to mind read as kids to survive. If you had unpredictable parents, you had to get good at guessing moods to stay safe.
So we bring that survival skill into our marriage, where it backfires. We think we're being perceptive, but really we're just being hypervigilant.
Exactly. So we have to learn to stop reading between the lines and start using soul words. Instead of saying, you're always on your phone, which is just a surface complaint.
You say, but I feel lonely.
Yes. I feel unwanted. I feel invisible. Those are soul words.
Just saying that makes my stomach clench. It's so much safer to say you're annoying than I feel lonely. You're annoying is an attack. I feel lonely is a confession.
It is a confession. It makes you vulnerable. But when you use those words, you stop the guessing game. You are literally handing your partner the answer key to your heart. You're saying, you don't have to read my mind. Here is the truth.
And if they love you, they can do something with the truth. They can't do anything with an attack.
As Brene Brown and basically every source we've looked at would say, clear is kind.
Clear is kind. That needs to be tattooed on my forehead.
It's the banner headline. Love isn't a magic trick. We have this romantic myth that if you really loved me, you would just know.
Oh, I hate that myth. I shouldn't have to tell you.
That myth is the father of Assumicide. Real love isn't telepathy. Real love is having the courage to ask, what are you thinking? And then actually believing the answer.
So what's the takeaway for everyone listening? We've thrown a lot at them. The nothing box.
Yeah.
Assumicide.
I think it's that we need to stop treating our partners like puzzles we have to solve and start treating them like people we get to discover.
I love that. Okay, let's give them a challenge for this week. Something to stop the assumicide.
Here's your mission, should you choose to accept it. This week, catch yourself making an assumption. Just one. You'll probably do it 10 times a day, but just catch one.
Catch the story while it's still in the draft phase.
Exactly. The moment you feel that tightening in your chest, that spiral starting because you think you know, stop and use the script. Even if it feels weird. Say, the story I'm telling myself is X. Am I right?
And be prepared for them to say, no, I was in the nothing box.
Exactly. And if they do, believe them. Let them have their nothing box.
This has been so helpful. I feel like I need to go apologize to my partner for like 3 arguments I already had with him in my head this morning.
We've all been there. Just remember that communication is the single biggest influence on a relationship. And the best part is, it's a skill. It's not a talent you're born with. It's something you can learn.
Clear is kind. Don't commit assumicide. And if you hand your partner a piece of carpet tonight, please let us know how it goes.
Please do.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.